Good afternoon, all. This is the Townsend Finance Committee meeting for April 5th. We're calling it to order at 4:02 p.m. With that, I'd like a roll call vote for Finance Committee members.
Geraldine Bezekas.
Mark Hussey.
Sam Grant.
Andrea Wood.
Don Hayes, present. Okay, that is, we have a quorum and we're good to go. The meeting is being recorded for playing on Channel 9, and it is also being broadcast live on the local TCAM channel. So we are recording and live. At this point, I have no additions or deletions to the agenda. Anybody, are there any other additions or deletions that need to be considered and put on?
You want to talk about what you want to say at the informational session? It'll be
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'll put that on there. That was sort of on my list for maybe future agenda items, but specifically. And is it the 20th or 21st? 20th? Okay, I got the calendar. We can. 20th is a Wednesday. Thought it was 21st on
It's the 20th at
7 p.m.
7 p.m. That'll be in the Great Hall.
The 20th on 7 p.m. There is a general information on the budget to the townspeople, and so the meeting's posted.
The budget and the warrant.
The-
I think
The budget and the warrant.
is a major piece of-
Yeah.
I mean, the budget is a major piece of
The warrant. Yeah. So that
It's here, like,
it's here at Great Hall,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock on the 20th.
And
So
I haven't talked to moderator John Barry. Thought is let people, they would have the warrant by then.
Mhm.
They could sort of mark which articles they're most interested in. We go through the ones that have the most
Yep.
interest and try to explain the articles and
okay,
answer questions.
Yeah.
And clearly the budget
it
is one of them.
it will be the biggest. As you say that, it's like
Is it going to be on TCAM too?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping this will be an educational session that they use some of the questions at town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Or if nothing else, we'll have an idea where people can ask questions and have the answers ready
Right.
to do it. Town meeting.
okay. So we've clarified that in for the future agenda items and meeting times and dates that we'll talk about, prepare our information that we should have ready to discuss on that night. Next item on the agenda, review correspondence. Andrea, is there anything come in for the mailbox for Finance Committee?
No,
Okay, that being said, we'll move into the meeting business. We had an open item for an IT transfer. Ross, was there an IT transfer generated that?
We still don't know what numbers they need.
Okay.
This year. We know that they basically spent what they got.
Okay, so it's not a specific case of anything. It's just the IT budget for the year and having enough.
Culmination of a lot of.
they have no money left in their expenses. None.
So
Yeah.
you could do it as a reserve fund transfer if once you get a number.
Mhm.
I've got it targeted as a article in the special town meeting warrant, transfer from free cash. And right now, I've got a placeholder of 80,000 for that. I think
Okay.
it's more than you have in your reserve fund.
Yeah, we are down to 27 at this point, ish, 27-ish. It's probably 26 and change. Because we did that 13,400, I believe it was. Exchange. Okay, I thought there might be another one, but it's going to be, so we won't have a transfer review or request. It's going to be an article on the warrant for the special town meeting inside the
I
annual.
think I'm open to suggestions, but I think that's the
Okay.
only way, because I think whatever number they have is going to be more than the balance of. reserve
What's
fund.
available in the reserve.
Well, it may be more than available in the reserve fund, but
Yeah.
starting in May, you can do a municipal transfer. And that will give you a greater access to money.
Yes.
And it seems to me to go all the way to town meeting is an awful long time not to be paying your bills.
Agreed.
Okay, do we want to leave this as an item to discuss next week and see if we have more detail about what the amount is and continue? So we'll leave it there with that.
I like Andy's
Discussion.
idea of doing a municipal transfer in May.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
would avoid some, we'll talk more about some projects I would cancel out of free cash in order to pay for this.
Okay, yep. Okay, next item, review meeting minutes. I did not have any to print or send out, so at this time there's no meeting minutes to review. Okay, and
Didn't I send you a copy of some that we didn't review? For the first meeting that we didn't have a quorum?
We had some to review last week, but we didn't have a meeting.
Ah.
I don't know if
okay,
everyone
no,
has those.
my fault. I did, yeah. I did not review them.
Yeah,
So-
and you were gone.
Yeah,
Yourself,
and-
so.
Yeah, so we'll review the meeting minutes next week, and I will review the dates and get dates on here to review. Okay. Moving on, the next section, the work sessions. It's listed as review of the workbook updates, but at this point, is generally we get an update from Ross on documentation and where we are. So, would welcome Ross to introduce us to the documents that we have received.
So instead of giving you a new ominous budget,
Yeah.
I've given you a draft of the warrant that actually has the budget in it. So you get a chance to see how it all starting to play together. I still have some formatting to do to get the budget to look right in the warrant document. Notable changes in the budget, as I was seeing the deficit not going away, but then hearing concerns of some of the finance committee members, as well as the police chief, regarding the lease payments for the two cruisers, and that they are sort of an ongoing operating expense to pay that lease, therefore they should show up in the operating budget. versus the other view that says they're a capital expense and we should pull them out and vote them separately out of free cash. So I've sort of got a blend of that where I'm keeping them in the operating budget. They will show up as a line item. But as the prelude to that Article 5, I'm transferring $70,000 out of free cash to the general fund to pay for it. So we're sort of funding them from free cash,
Mhm.
but they're reported and voted on in the operating budget. I think that way that they will show up in the operating budget for next year, and it won't be a shock because they're already in this. So I hope that's
Mhm.
a reasonable compromise that addresses some of the finance committee members' concerns and addresses the chief's concerns and addresses my concern about how to fund it
Right.
and minimize the deficit.
Yep.
So there's $70,000 of sort of added revenue
Mhm.
showing up to account for that.
Okay, now, as we get further into the details of it, looking at the leases, I threw out, I sent an email to Ross. There's the GASP, the Governmental Accounting Standards Bureau 87, with regards to leases and how they're accounted. And it was written and originally proposed to be instituted in 2017, and I believe they've delayed the implementation of that. So I just want to make sure that we are, and if it's not this year, that it's going to be in next year's budget, that we're making sure that we're going to account for it in the proper. So I guess the question, that long-winded piece of, is this, if we check to see if this,
Terry checked and we're okay doing it the way I just described.
okay.
Yes, thank you for pointing that out.
So, and, again, questions. There's so many.
Good question, really.
I went on. There's just so many, and they're implemented, they've changed, they're postponed. It's kind of like, and some of them have as many as 50 changes to the original by the time it's implemented.
And
So,
it may impact more of how the accountant wraps up
mhm. And
recap
reports.
to the state versus how we actually fund it.
Okay, and that could be, so it's a report, it could be a reporting more than how it's funded in the budget.
The other big changes in the recap sheet is I've lowered the ambulance receipts money that's going into the general fund.
Mhm.
And that is because Terry verified with ELS that when you're appropriating monies from reserve funds, such as the ambulance receipts reserve, you can only appropriate what you have at that point,
Mhm.
not what you expect to have on June 30.
Mhm.
And I've sat down with Chief Shepherd and we've gone through the receipts today, carryover from last year, what you expected to receive going forward, as well as a $58,000 payment for Medicare, which comes in like in late June. And he and I felt comfortable that the ambulance receipt account would have $750,000 this year, and we're going to take out $701,000.
Mhm.
Terry, doing her due diligence, found that you only can appropriate what you have at that point.
Absolutely.
My subconscious in the background is whispering there. So her best estimate, and we'll probably tweak this when we get down to town meeting, is
Mhm.
$485,000 in that versus the $700 that I received.
Mhm.
So that significantly lowers the revenue that I was planning to put into the equation.
Mhm.
I fully support Terry. It's what she's doing and how she's doing it. I mean, we want to do what's right, not what just happens to
Right.
make the numbers work.
Yeah.
The other change I made was I've been carrying $343,000 indirect charges from the water department. I put it back to the $300,000 that was last year. I'm trying to sit down with the water commissioners and see if we can negotiate that rate, but they seem to feel that that more accurately represents the indirect charges the town provides. I'm not sure I agree, but so there's another $43,000 that I pull out of the revenue side.
Excuse me,
Yes.
could we go back to ambulance receipts for a second?
Sure.
I know that cash has not been reconciled. None of that's been reconciled since August. So actually receipts could be, if we can close out that, receipts would be higher then, within before town meeting, if we can get that done. The other thing is even if it's only 480 that we use or use half of 3/4 of, for what ambulance, you're going to use it to lower the fire department budget or to offset the cost of their capital planning items?
So on the cash receipts, we're getting caught up. We will be caught up. Terry went through and pulled out all the receipts from Coastal. Coastal is the company that does the billing for us on ambulance. And based on what she's seen to date and her estimate on what we've done in March and what have done in April, she feels 485 is the appropriate number to be working.
Okay, so what are we going to use the money for in the ambulance to offset ambulance costs? Or are we not going to use that money?
We're going to use 485,000. 101 of that, 101,000 of that will be to pay the ambulance lease. I think that's 101,588 pay the ambulance lease. That will leave 383,412 to either go into the general fund or to offset the fire department budget. It's sort of a wash is how you count that, because we pay for the fire department budget out of the operating fund. So
It doesn't, yeah, but it doesn't go into the general fund for general use ever. Ambulance receipts can only be used for fire AMS purchases and budget and whatever. When the law first came into place, it came into place, it could only be used to buy new ambulances. Then they broadened it a bit. And then when almost every fire department became fire EMS, they allowed it to be used for the fire department as long as it also was being used by EMS personnel. So we have a broader use, but it still remains always within the fire department, fire EMS department. I'm sorry.
yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, the requested fire EMS budget is $1,458,000. So minus out that 385, it sort of comes out the same way.
Did the selectmen
Which account you
vote?
put it into versus which.
I'm sorry. Did the selectmen vote to accept the fire department budget at the last meeting that I watched? I missed a couple of small meetings they had, but it wasn't on their agenda. They agreed to accept his new reorganization plan, but they didn't vote to accept his budget. They felt it had to be reviewed in greater detail.
Yes, and we have since reviewed it, and we pulled out a lot of his sort of one-time purchases and funding them from ARPA. There's about $35,000 that we pulled out of the operating budget and funded them from ARPA. So they're getting the same items, it's coming from a different funding source. Those are the numbers that are reflected here.
Okay.
All right.
When was that done?
I tell you what. It may be. In the agendas here.
Haven't voted it yet.
We haven't voted
We
it yet.
voted
Okay.
tonight.
We voted tonight.
That's the first meeting that we've had since do that. And you and I met with Gary on Wednesday, not last week, I think the week before. And then I had to make sure that it was all kosher, Jennifer, and it is. So we'll go.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Andy,
Thank
did you
you.
hear that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Those are the changing of revenue by
Mhm.
decreasing ambulance receipts and the water indirect. Moving of the police cruisers from general fund funding to free cash, but keeping it in the operating budget. And finding a couple lines that were either double reported or not reported in the right place brings us to the deficit as of this afternoon, $477,203, going in the wrong direction.
Mhm.
125,000 more than.
Well, when you increase those revenue sources,
Those, yeah.
that's what happens.
What about the school? There was something possibly going to happen with, but it wouldn't make it in time, you had mentioned anyways.
Well, the school did lower their number a couple of weeks ago. And
Right.
That's reflected in it. It came down about 140,000 for numbers we'd be carrying.
There was something to do with the transportation or,
There's talk that the state's going to fund regional transportation. I'm hearing at 90%, 92%, or 100%.
Yeah.
Down to 70 to 75%. So that would be a big boost.
but it's not coming in time.
We don't think it will know in
Mhm.
time. I've suggested to the school that maybe if they know it's coming, but the timing is off, fund their budget out of E&D to get the number low, and then they can reimburse their E&D with transportation. I mean, the town will accept an assessment decrease next summer or next fall, but it doesn't
Sure,
solve this
no.
budget.
Right, right.
And that budget relief that we might get in the fall will show up to the town as free cash a year from now,
Yeah.
a year and a half. We really need it before May 3rd.
Did they respond to your request? Or?
Knowledge that I said those words.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I mean,
but it sounds
I
like
understand.
they would have the same thing. It's anticipated money, but no guarantee.
But no guarantee. Nobody wants to do that. I understand
and
that.
they have the same feelings about spending E&D that the
Mhm.
town does about spending free cash.
Mhm.
And try not to use those one-time accounts for ongoing operating funds. And
Sure.
I fully respect that. I'm just trying to look for the overall school budget here. John, I don't know if your spreadsheet shows their increases, but I think that the net increase from the school is not outrageous.
Okay. No, I think it had come in. Let me share. I can share. Sure. Here we go. So, I should be sharing, this is a file, that I used with the Roundup formulas. Is that enough? From last,
You have percent increases over in the right.
yeah, probably do.
If you jump down to line 46, you have the new sheet.
Well, let's see. I looked, I didn't see anything come in from you this afternoon. So this is the one from the 29th.
That should have the school budget.
Here we go.
Slide over.
Yeah, it's gonna, you. See if it's not too much of an eye test. It's maybe a little too much.
Yeah, but that's showing.
Yeah.
An overall budget increase for the school of 3%.
3, yep.
I'd love to say
Mm-hmm.
2.5%, but I don't think that's outrageous. You know, municipal budget, the overall municipal budget is 3.5%, while the overall town budget with the school is 3.5%. If the schools were at
4 or
5,
5,
6, and
yeah.
7%, I would think we've got some relatively.
Yeah. I guess I'm just wishing that they got their answer before.
Mhm.
We know that's not going to happen. It would just help.
Yes.
Be nice if they get it at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the state has some flex in their budget this year.
Okay, and again, sorry, we're jumping a little back on the fire EMS. Do we have the detail sheets from the chief regarding the positions and the wage increases and things? Is it one person too? It's kind of like back in the main book. It's kind of like
Can't tell how many lieutenants there are. Or
right.
exactly.
We can't.
A lot of money if it's only one, but we don't know if there's 1 or 2.
Afraid or yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're looking for that detail of, as we have from the other departments, showing the staff the FY22 and or FY21 and
I
FY22.
think police department was built up that way too, where it didn't list how many of each rank there was,
Right.
which made it hard to understand.
It did, and we went back and questioned.
Exactly. We
and
had to
got straightened
question.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the police answered.
They
Yeah,
did.
they
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Yep. So just citing that.
Okay. Did you get these sheets way back when?
I had no detail sheets at all. Okay. Yeah. Okay. These are. Oh, these are just the line items. They're not this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
I'm sure
these
it's
are the
okay,
lines,
yeah.
and those are pretty much the lines in the
Yeah, 'cause I
omnibus
thought those
budget.
would have been put in your binders initially.
Those,
Yeah, they were.
yeah, those have, but it's the
It's the same questions we had for the police department.
Yeah.
You know, you have lieutenant or captain or whatever listed at a certain amount, but it's an awful lot unless it's tool, which is information we just didn't have on.
So.
And with the new reorganization, we
Yeah.
really don't know.
So it's kind of like, so that's, they comparing what those are. So like, if we're looking at in the warrant, line 282, it goes from, it increases by 21%, which is close to 33%. So it's like needing to understand the details behind those.
Do we accepted any of this budget?
We really haven't accepted, and that's one of the things I wanted to get to, is we haven't gone through and said, what have we accepted, what haven't we accepted? And to Ross's point, on April 20th, we have to have our information available and ready to go.
Right.
Whether what we recommend, not recommend, and other comments that we might have on it. So that's something we really need to work on 18 days and have it done probably, and put the finishing touches on it on the 19th. And so we've definitely got it all done for the following night. So that's 2 weeks out. Okay. I just moved the percentages in so we can see them beside the numbers, but it's kind of debt service. So, is there anything else, Ross? You want to hit?
I'm looking at, if we've got the $80,000 of MIS to account for, though I like Andrew's suggestion of doing it as a line-to-line transfer in May. But there's some projects that I was going to suggest that if we have to fund other things from free cash, I was going to say, don't spend the $10,000 on the exterior repair of the Harbor Fire Station.
It's done at 10.
That's at 10 now.
Okay.
Recap sheet. I have lowered the $60,000 request for the old documents in the old library down to $35,000. I'm suggesting that go away.
That's English.
Repair and paint the old Harbor Fire Station, $20,000. I'm going to suggest that go away, and then $35,000 for a records management plan at the police station. That's $100,000 less out of free cash. It would leave you a balance as of today of $144,000 free cash versus just $44,000.
But would we use that for some of the deficit?
We could, I think, using free cash, using one-time funds for ongoing operating is
Yeah, it's
not
not
a good answer.
Yep.
On the other hand, my backup plan, if the Prop 2.5 override fails, is to suggest using stabilization. And that's a savings account for operating.
Right.
Free cash just requires a majority vote. Stabilization requires a two-thirds vote. So it's a little harder hurdle to get over. But that's what it's for.
So as it stands now, what were we asking for on the ballot? 350 something. Would we have to raise that?
Well, the ballots have been printed. Actually, last week, when I was feeling optimistic, I had them print the ballots at 250 for an override, and then I caught them as they were printing and said
Mhm.
350.
Right.
You know,
That's not going to cover it, though.
not
so what do we do
today's
then?
number. I mean, there's still some adjusting, so maybe
Sure.
you take 350 in stabilization and 177 out of, I'm sorry, 350 of Prop 2.5 and 177 out of stabilization. The town, before I got here, as a result of last year's town meetings, had used up to almost its levy limit,
Mhm.
minus $8,000, which is noise.
And, yeah,
If we can finagle the budget and budget it with stabilization, the town's gonna be in the same situation next year, with being right up against the levy limit. And for those reasons, I would hope the town would vote up 2.5 override.
Mhm.
But I understand
That's going to be a hard sell. We'll see.
um,
The way things are now, you know,
Right.
just recently with the gas and a lot of people, it depends on how many people are paying attention in town, too. A lot of people don't even know what's going on.
we're looking at $190
A year, on
year
top
for-
of the 2.5.
no, for the total of.
Oh, for the total and the,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And that's split for, in quarters,
Mhm.
so it's $50.
$50, yeah.
The average house. I hate to see the town in a bind like this next year.
Mm-hmm.
We can solve this year, but I really like to see the town have a chance to move ahead next year.
right. That's the piece. I think we've been going year to year, trying to piece together a budget and get.
Not
to that
looking
point.
ahead, not,
We're not looking ahead.
well, that's where some of these new positions are gonna play a part
They
in
will.
years
Yeah.
ahead. And people need to understand that.
I'm sorry. You have a master key to Rob's office? Already needs to be in there.
I do.
He's standing there beside the door.
Okay,
Sure.
Yep.
Sorry.
You know, like I think it's great that, you know, we're moving forward. We're getting, you know, moving forward with everything, but it comes with a price. And
It's a big price. and
it's a
and
big price when you look at the big picture.
It, so those are the pieces and,
It's $50 more a quarter.
it's $50 more a quarter
A
for the
quarter,
average house, for the average house.
For the average
It-
house, right?
yeah. I know.
Which isn't bad. But again, we have to look at ahead of what we're already planning for ahead and how much it's going to cost moving forward. Our income or the income for the town is not going to change that much, I don't think. We're not going to get a big business in here. We're not going to, I don't know what else we're going to do, but it's pretty much stagnant other than the general increases.
Right. Property
And
tax.
anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, you know, so.
Property taxes is definitely the biggest thing, excise tax probably next, and then
And people
And
have had
ambulance
enough.
service.
I
Yeah.
mean, and a lot of them don't understand how it works. They just hear from their neighbor, they hear this, they really don't understand. And a lot of people don't care, and a lot of people just don't know. They don't pay attention, so it's hard. It's hard to.
Right. And I think maybe that's where we try to present it on the 20th.
And hope everybody attends so that everybody can really understand, the
Pat,
trouble or the position we're in, and what's going to happen moving forward, and the mistakes we've made previously.
Right.
But again, I don't think a lot of people, the majority of the people in town, I really don't think understand.
no, they
They just get whacked with a new bill and they go, hey, what's
right.
up?
What's this? What's the?
We need to explain all this on the, and every chance we have to explain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everybody's home budget is going up pressures. I think we need to realize that municipal budget, some of the same pressures.
Sure.
And it's going up some of the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
New positions, were ones that were in this year's budget, and then we added them with ARPA funds, so that's not impacting taxes this year.
This year, but it will,
It really
Will.
will.
along with their raises and whatever, so.
I think these are services the town needs to be able to provide, which is why
I-
these positions are being done. I mean, you can go through one by one, so there's an extra firefighter, well,
Mhm.
you need coverage now.
Yeah.
So, next position here, I think these are all ones that
Right. And
are needed.
Everything comes with a cost, though, and at some point, the bank is broken.
We've done our best, I think, to minimize the impact going when this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
um,
We've not done things like the Community Preservation Act.
Mhm.
That will impact taxes. I think that would provide a valuable cash flow for town for future projects. But that's off the table for next year. Stormwater management plan that would impact taxes. Something that should be done for the environment, but those are taken off.
But we are gonna have to pay for them in the future. Along with everything else, it's gonna be tough. It's, again, without any different income coming into the town, anything, it's a plot, other than what we got.
It's
This
hard
is
to
not
bring-
happening,
It's hard to bring a large industry into town.
yeah. Or even, there's a few things.
solar,
But-
the solar farm that you mentioned, up on landfill, those sorts of things could help a bit, but.
Oh. So I guess our next step is to just get ready for the 20th, huh?
Yes.
If we have to save some money out of free cash for
Mhm.
other uses, are you okay with cutting the 4 projects that I have suggested? The exterior repair of the harbor fire station, the old documents in the old library, paint repair of the harbor fire station, and records management project. Police center. Those are the ones that I
I know anything.
thought could be cut if we have
Mhm.
to cut something.
You think that's probably the areas that could.
Was the document just for the police station or was it? Or did it cover the document?
The records management, 35,000 was records that are at the police station. So they would be sorted through and digitized.
Oh,
Sort of.
yep. You mean the old library? You said
Well,
police.
there's two
And-
projects. One was at the police station. and
Okay.
One was the old
Was there,
library.
okay.
The old library, originally I had an estimate of 60,000. I cut that 35, figuring we do what we
Okay.
could do in the first year.
So they're both being cut then, right? Or could be. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they've been there for a couple of years. In the old library, they've probably been there for 10 or 15
At
years.
least,
One
yeah.
more year is not gonna
Right.
hurt.
These are all things we're gonna make note of though for doing in the future.
These are things I think should be done.
Yeah,
That's
oh,
why
yeah.
they were showed up originally. We need to keep the exterior of the buildings in good shape so they don't fall down, so the town doesn't look like it's been forgotten. But
Yep.
I think it's a lot more important to get rolling stock, for the highway and police and other equipment for the day-to-day operation.
Okay, so it was 2 documents, and one in the fire station. What was the 4th one?
So, am I looking at items 10-7, 10-8, 10-9, and 10-10?
Yeah, so if you look down on the right-hand side of the recap sheet,
Yeah.
where I'm just tracking the use of free cash.
Yeah.
It's the ones that I've highlighted there, or in gray, or they've got 2 asterisks next to them. So I didn't want to unilaterally make that decision of cutting those projects. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention.
Yeah. sorry, I'm looking, I thought the fire department had building maintenance items on there. I wondered if,
They had some that we put into ARPA.
Yeah, we
And I
did
know
look
he
at
had,
that,
he
so-
had, he had a $10,000 one for the stair repair of the fire station. I had him take that out of the budget because it turns out
Okay,
that was the same
that's the
work
one.
that was in here.
Yeah.
Except I
That's
just
what I
took it out of here too.
Maybe
So-
you put it
Yep.
back in.
Um, These will show up in the warrant.
Mhm.
My thought was, depending on where we are at the night of the meeting, we'll either vote, ask them to be voted on, or we'll just move no action on those.
On those ones.
If the town says they still want to do those, they can do them. Currently, it will work out of free cash.
Yep.
Just free cash balance would be about 44,000 instead of 144,000.
Yeah.
What I didn't mention is in the warrant is an article to recapture some old warrant articles that hadn't,
Yep.
that have been closed. So that is 55,000 that I'm proposing goes into the capital stabilization fund.
Mhm.
That would boost that up for future use. A
Mhm.
little bit of forward planning.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea, really.
It's going from 104,000 to another 55,000, so
And
something you can use in the future.
with it, you've researched that whole list of everything so that we could continue working and seeing if the projects get
Yes.
finished. And-
I think
Over
that's
the year,
just
I think
an
that's-
annual event, is to update that list, and then,
Mm.
I mean, I know there's some money in for the roof repair of the rec center, of 50,000. The quote is looking to be less than that. If they close
Oh,
out
is that where it was
project,
the slate deal or?
it's gonna be asphalt.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And it's been approved by the historic district commission.
Mhm.
That project frees up and closes out before town meeting, then we'll
Mhm. A little bit more.
recap that as well. If not, it'll be next.
So I guess with the reorganization of the fire department, we're going to move to a part-time chief, am I correct?
As a short-term plan.
That was my question. It's a short-term plan. Okay.
The plan is
It-
12 to 24 months.
Mhm.
To let the chief shepherd finish his reorganization and get things straightened out. And then come back with a full-time position.
So that would not affect this budget, then?
Not this budget, right?
Yeah.
It will be an
Next.
increase.
Mhm.
Next year.
Yeah.
Could be,
Next
if
year,
it's on the
following
short
year.
side, 12.
Look at that, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
But it's a savings this year. I think we,
Mhm.
we go with it.
So that's something I had always wondered too, if we do, but I couldn't get a really straight answer. The answer was they were going to hire within, and it would make it cheaper, or my
Actually,
question,
it's posted.
Huh?
Actually, it's been posted.
well, no, I understand that, but my question at the time was, okay, so when we go to look for a chief, all these reorganized positions, are they permanent? Or does that change too?
No,
Because,
I think they would be permanent,
yeah,
Right.
probably subject to a new chief coming in saying,
right, so,
it's going to get changed.
all right,
The intent is that they're permanent.
okay.
I mean, as much as anything. And yes, the chief's position has been posted.
I saw it up the other day, posted for 20 hours a week.
For 20,
So
for 20 hours?
20 hour a week. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was.
The assumption is it's not full-time, it's roughly 20 hours. It's posted every
Oh, no, I meant when we go full-time.
Oh,
When we
that
go
would be back
full-time,
to-
yeah,
They're gonna
right.
go back to full
yeah.
time.
So then,
That's the anticipation, but that's a decision that we made 12 to 18 months.
right.
And then they figure 3 to 6 months to
Mhm.
advertise and hire some.
So chances are we're going to add another, we'll end up doubling what we're paying now for chief. We have to look at
Well,
that too.
as a minimum, yeah. We'll add that into the,
Mhm.
Now,
to that sheet.
in your FY '24 budget, you won't be paying for a second town administrator. So there's a
Mhm.
little bit of
Mhm.
breathing room. In this budget, we're not paying for a past police chief, so something like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, Jim is still up to 23, so, 23 budget.
Mhm. Yep.
All right.
Okay. Any questions for Ross on the phone regarding the warrant or what we're talking about so far?
I don't have a question about the warrant, but I have a suggestion regarding the Wednesday meeting.
Yep.
You said that the override would be approximately $50 increase in everybody's tax budget. Yeah, an average, for an average house.
An average house, and that's per quarter, so roughly 200 a year.
Okay, per quarter. Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What you should do though is people like to think they're the average price. And when it comes out more, they feel like they've been lied to. So at that time, you should also give how much the increase is per thousand. So that the people can figure for their exact house what the cost would be.
The suggestion and does that and also calculates in like $100,000 increments over average.
Yeah.
So people can say, well, their house is 500 or 550, and there's a
Mhm.
500 number and a 600 number. They can figure out where they think they are. But yes, I will have
Good,
tax impact per thousand.
good.
Yeah. So how many meetings does that give us before the 20th?
There's only 2 before the 20th, so that's we have a lot of work to do between now and the 20th. So I was thinking,
And they're gonna be the Tuesdays at 4?
well, we got Tuesdays at 4, but we bump up against the selectmen if we're on Zoom things. So we might want to do the Tuesdays and additionally maybe Thursdays at 4, back to the original.
I think
meeting day.
Thursdays at 4 are gonna be an issue.
Okay. Is there something better a little later?
Yeah. We're doing a lot of back to work. Everybody's coming back
Okay,
to the
yeah.
office. And I've got a lot of meetings in California.
Yeah.
So 4 o'clock's becoming a problem.
Mhm.
If we could do something like 5.
Okay.
Well, you did 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
5:30. 5:30 or 6 would be
Let's-
ideal.
Um,
But I don't want to make late nights for
Yeah.
people either.
right. So if we,
What's the matter, Jerry?
I can stay out to 6.
yeah, that's the starting time. It's
Yeah, I
like-
know.
Or your
Um,
next, you talking about the 12th or?
The 12th would be
Very
the-
fun.
the 12th. The Tuesday meetings will stay at 4. We have Zoom meetings for those. We're talking about adding a second meeting on weeks between now and then, which
On the 19th,
the 19th is still 4 o'clock.
I'll have a 5 o'clock hard stop then.
Okay. And so we're talking
Does
about,
that mean that you need the Zoom link, or do we still stay on, or what does that
You
mean?
can
No.
do what you
We
want.
can-
but
we can
I'm
stay-
gonna disappear at
yeah,
5 o'clock that night.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursdays, I'm 4:30 to 5. Oh, no,
Okay.
wait a minute, that's all gonna change. Yeah, 5:30 will work. Tuesdays, I may have to come in late. I don't know if that's gonna affect your forms. Hopefully, everybody will be able to attend.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Yep.
certainly attend, but I might be late.
Okay, how is Sam and Andrea? Are you good for Thursdays at, say, 6 o'clock? We'll give you a little half an hour break.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
Um,
day would that be done?
well, it's gotta be the 14th, but because there's not enough time to do
I'll just do it.
on the 7th. So that's just one more day. 2, 3. So that gives us 3 meetings. Before,
1, 2.
it'll give us the 12th, the 14th, and the 19th.
Do we think we can do that in
In,
that amount of time?
At 6 o'clock meeting, maybe. just
That,
turn-
that one's gonna throw us, I know.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys wanna start early, and I'll just show up late, as long as you get your form.
mhm.
We can
Yeah.
get one.
Yeah, make sure you get a, and I'll just show up as soon as I
Yeah.
can.
Or we can do a working session until,
Until,
and then present.
Yeah. You know, because, this may not last long either, because you get this smart sheet that's making everybody crazy as soon as that's done. Um,
Wow, smart
No,
sheet, huh? Okay.
Smart sheets can be very, very,
I've used it,
yeah,
kind of.
I like them when they're good.
You've got the 12th and 19th at 4 o'clock. And then
Yep.
the 14th.
And the 14th, we're going to do 6.
But make it earlier if you want. Do your work
Um,
session, and it's up to you.
I'll Zoom that one.
Okay, yep, yeah, that's fine. Kinda. Or the other thing is, if you just want to be there as a resource if we have questions, because I know Thursday's not a scheduled work day. Kind of like because I think we'll be working on the recommendations and our wording for the thing, so it's kind of, so I don't know that it's absolutely necessary for you to be there, kind of like on that one, kind of that. Okay. Okay, so we've talked about it and really haven't. Yes, Andrea or Sam, 6 o'clock on Thursday the 14th. Okay to add a meeting for you.
Yeah, it's all right for me.
Okay.
Giving him my calendar and all this mess.
Yep. We'll send out. I'll send the request. I don't see anything on the calendar yet, so hopefully there's no other conflicts.
And then 12th or the 19th.
12th and the 19th at 4. We'll keep them.
That's fine here.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Then we should have quorum on both.
We gotta look at this damn calendar. Calendar.
And I know on the cap sheet, we have the snow deficit line, or so the warrant Article 2 for that. Keeping our finger crossed, no more
Yeah, really.
snow. And that number, the most recent, I don't know if the trucks went out in the last couple of, it wasn't
Not
much.
the last.
The last 2 nights, it was overnight.
I've seen them out after hours filling potholes up. Good gosh.
Yes, a lot of pothole complaints.
Yeah, they were doing a great job.
And I know they're working.
Hmm.
They respond as soon as they hear.
Mhm.
Um,
I told them to stay off my road because I like it that way. The traffic slows down.
What road do you live on?
Old Battery.
Don't be yelling at the highway.
No, I already
Yeah.
talked to him.
I hear, yeah. Do it down the road. Okay. Well, that was pretty much everything on the agenda. I know
Okay,
we need to start looking at the budget, or do we want to move that and start really digging into budget and our recommendations for next Monday? Tuesday, sorry. My hockey nights are off.
I don't know.
Okay. Sounds like nothing came up, so it's kind of like, to that point, if we call it a meeting tonight, we'll dig in next week and really get to working on it.
And work on it, yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. We'll work on the budget and the wording on the recommendations as we go down.
Go through the warrant and do it that way, or
Uh,
the budget?
I think it's sort of a combination. It's kind of, because if we're gonna do the within the budget, and it's kind of like, I look here and I look at what we had on the 29th,
Mm-hmm.
and I work line 5 is back in here with the wage settlement. Is this just a placeholder in there? And it's kind of like, so I look at this and it's different than what's in the warrant, and it's kind of like, so I've got my concerns of what's going to change.
Well, first of all, the budget, the warrant, and the recap sheets are changing daily.
Yeah.
So we get them fine-tuned. I put the settlement wages for the former TA
Mm-hmm.
back in the operating budget. It seemed to make it easier for the accountant to process that paperwork.
Because it's payroll.
But I pulled funds out of free cash. So it was essentially a wash
Mm-hmm.
on the recap sheet.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a payroll is easier to account for if it's in the operating budget. So
Okay.
it's done that.
Okay. Now, because, okay,
It's-
it's a settlement. It's payroll, not settlement. I would, check out of my pocket to say, we're done, we're terminated, is a settlement. That's one and done, versus this, it sounds like we're paying on the same salary cycle as town employees.
Which is what happened, which is what's currently happening. The person is getting paid on a bi-monthly check. So
And as a result, is the town responsible for also adding into retirement fund and all that for it? Understandable why it's here. We can explain it, all that kind of stuff. But it was, and that, again, it's a line, much like we look at these lines that are $0 that are actually real budget lines that ARPA is paying for. So here's a line that's in here with a value, and the money's coming from somewhere else. Well, there's other two lines that the money's coming where, and there's zero. So it's not a consistent format. So just a thought about presentation, and are we going to start having questions because of a format and presentation?
possibly, if they ask why it's in there, or why it's not, we'll have to explain that it's a line item, it's probably like fund by our.
Yep.
But we've got, this is part of trying to get the budget to work.
Yep.
Using different funding sources.
Right.
Are you gonna put beside the other amount where it's coming from, like ARPA money, the money?
We've got this column that's showing up,
It
but
is,
that
but
gets really convoluted to print that
It-
in the warrant.
yeah.
I think what we may do is maybe a slide that would come up that would show the
Like,
explanations.
or like a funding source
I
column.
think this is a good way to do it.
Yep.
Be on the same page.
But
But I think to print the warrant, I mean, I know.
yeah, to print the warrant, it's kind of,
Truncating things just to get it to show up in the.
Right.
you have to, it's almost like you have to go to landscape mode on those pages to get more information, but, kinda- because you can change from portrait to landscape within a document. You just
But
have
when
to,
you print it, it's gotta be,
it'll be
Landscape
top to
yeah.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You kinda- So,
Well,
or side to side. You just have to flip it and read it like this
Yeah.
instead of,
flip the warrant
Mhm.
Yeah.
to read the landscape.
Yep.
You have to flip the page.
Right.
and then again, there's way, it gives you, there's less lines on a page, so it'll be more pages, but at the same time,
Easier to read.
easier to read.
Yeah.
Um, and then with that, there's another option on printing. You can repeat certain lines on every page, so you get the headers. It's kind of like,
Yes,
that way you're not flipping back to say what column.
Yeah,
am I?
what column, what does this here represent? Sure. That's a great idea.
I'm perfectly willing to help.
well, I may take up on that.
With those.
I know how to get the spreadsheet to do that.
Yeah.
But when I copied it and put it in the Word document, that went away.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I'm open to all the help I get to do this.
Maybe.
Where do we do smart sheets, huh?
Oh, yeah. Wicked smart sheets.
Wicked smart sheets, yes.
Nobody outside New England. Yeah.
It's a new thing.
Yep, it is kind of.
And I do like them.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's kind of like you get that opportunity where anybody you need can go in and update
And
the file.
update this stuff,
And,
yeah.
and it's kind of, it's out there. It's a good piece.
Anything else I can do for you tonight? Otherwise, I'll get ready for next week.
No, I think we're okay
We're about
for
done.
now. Yep. And it's kind of like, so we'll work on those things. I'm trying to think, might be able to print it as a PDF and then import a PDF into the,
Tried that also.
okay.
But
I know.
I'm open to all the help.
We'll
I
try
can,
them. It's
so-
kind of like this. That's the stuff I did for people. Kind of like we'll do it here. Kind of like we'll try and see where it goes. Okay, but again, that's hopefully just make it more readable for people and gives the opportunity to put a little more information in their possession and reduce the questions maybe. Reasonable. Okay, I've got 5:11 PM. If there's nothing else, I guess I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second that.
Okay, 5:11, and roll call vote, please.
Jerome Bezekis, yes.
Mark Hussey, yes.
Gabriel Wood, yes.
Sam Grant, yes.
Don Hayes, yes. With that, it's unanimous. I thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your evening.